Out of Del Rio, Texas. Behind me is Highway 90, and in front of me too. And I'm passing just to the north of Laughlin Air Force Base, and looks like pilots are doing some approach work, doing a little training. And the weather here it's cool. A low pressure system is coming down from the north and west, so but we're not expecting any kind of precipitation pretty much in the entire state of Texas. For the next 2 or 3 days, it's going to be cold at night, probably in the mid-30s. So I'm about 10 miles east on Highway 90 from Del Rio, and I'm crossing this little patch called Sycamore Creek. And a lot of water here, a lot of sycamores and oaks. But the reason why I mention it is this would be a really good place to stealth camp if you were thinking about doing such a thing. Especially that side of the river. It's about 10 miles to the east of Del Rio. So I'm setting up my tent here at Fort Davis Springs, and it's really a pretty little area they have for us to camp in. It's the only one here in the tent area, and there's this awesome mesquite tree right here, and it's full of what are probably most people would call them air plants. And you can see that there's just dozens and dozens of them here. I wish I could get a little closer. But I'm setting up my tent here, and I'm throwing some plastic bags on the ground as a ground cloth. Of course, they do make a footprint, what is called a tent footprint, for this specific tent. And a lot of people don't really understand what the purpose of a ground cloth is, so I thought I would just make a quick note. The purpose of a ground cloth is when you're camping in a tent, especially if you're camping like a lot of nights. You know, I've been on the road 118 days now. But the sole purpose of a ground cloth is to reduce the friction from the bottom of the tent and the ground, because if you use it a couple hundred times, it will wear the bottom of the tent out. And so that's what the ground cloth is for. Now, if it's wet, you might be able to stay a little bit drier with it, as long as the ground cloth does not extend beyond the outside bottom of the tent, because if it does, it's just going to funnel water right into the bottom of the tent. So I'm here in Brackettville, and I'm staying tonight at Fort Clark Springs, which is an old turn-of-the-century Army base that is now in private hands. They've got like a hotel, a museum, a golf course, and an RV park / campground. They want $10 a night to stay here. That's pretty good. They don't have showers, and Wi-Fi is at the RV park, not at the tent area. But otherwise, it's a pretty nice place. I am leaving Brackettville on Farm Road 334, and it actually was fairly cold last night. I think it was down to about 36, which I was expecting and prepared for. But today I've got somewhere between 50 and 60 miles to ride, and I'm probably gonna, if possible, try to wild camp. It depends on the terrain. But headed for Campwood or Leakey. So one of those two towns, or somewhere in between it, I'll be headed. So I'm 2 miles east of the little town of Campwood, and right above me is Highway 337. And yeah, it's the ghetto, but I'm gonna camp under the bridge. Well, I've pulled out from under my little bridge outside of Campwood, and I'm still on road 337, mile marker 404, headed for, oh man, check this out. San Antonio's finally on the map. Campwood, headed for Leakey. Probably gonna try to camp here, not very far away actually, Lost Maples State Natural Area. The weather has turned into quite a thick deck of clouds or fog, I don't know. And so I'm gonna make it a short day today, and hopefully within the next 2 days be past San Antonio, which is the half point of Texas. So I'm just a few miles outside of Vanderpool. I left this morning Campwood, and I gotta say that is the most challenging probably 30 miles since New Mexico. This is Texas Hill Country, and it's been up and down all day. Coming to some pretty good heights. I'm not exactly sure. I'm sure it's probably around 2,000 feet. But I should be in Vanderpool here in just a couple of minutes. I think I'm 3 or 4 miles to the west, and either stay there or find a place to stay somewhere north on Highway 187. I'm on Highway 187 coming out of Vanderpool. I guess I'm about 3 miles out of town from the junction of 337 from Leakey. So I've got one more big climb today. I think the last big climb until the Atlantic Ocean, and it's supposed to be a nice one. I've already been warned by 3 people. You got a heck of a climb coming up. Well, I know that, so. But yeah, Vanderpool. Today it's pretty overcast and humid and not cold at all. Matter of fact, I bet you last night was in the upper 60s, which is really strange. 3 or 4 nights ago I was wearing, you know, everything I owned to prepare for temperatures below freezing, and now it's so warm at night. But okay, well, I'm climbing up out of Lost Maples State Park. The landscape is quite beautiful. Not what you think of as Texas. The Lost Maples, by the way, aren't maples. They're actually sycamores. But if they want to call this a maple, go ahead. And they're really pleased with the colors, which to me is pretty much green and brown. But hey, it's still a beautiful place, and this is the hill I'm going up. I've got the camera set pretty much level right there. Give you an idea, we're looking at maybe 8% grade. It's not that high, and it's not that steep, but it just looks daunting. But this is just a gorgeous place. Notwithstanding the sycamores being called maples, the foliage is turning. I mean, it's the end of November, so obviously it's fall. Looks like the clouds are gonna break out. There is some blue up there, and I have I think 45 miles to the town of Ingram, or if I feel good I might just continue to Kerrville. I read my 13th book, finished it last night, and I need to buy a new book. I can't camp without a book. Well, it's dark. I just pulled into By the River RV Park in Ingram, Texas. And gotta tell you, yeah, I cut it real close today. I mean, the sun just went down. It's like 6 something. It's gotta be 6 something. I don't know what time it is. But it actually looks like a really nice park. I actually got here about 30 minutes ago and took a shower at the facilities at the RV park, and looks like I'm the only one here. The actual river is right here to the right of me, and there's an RV park, and then when you cross the river is where the tenters camp. I rode today from Utopia. There's a long story about that I'll get into and maybe tell a story a little bit later. So I'm here at the Country Clean laundromat, and You know, it's funny, every time I need a haircut, I come into a laundromat and I say, is there a place to get a haircut around here? And if there is, I wash my sleeping bag. So I just got a haircut right down here. I'm in Ingram, Texas, by the way, and I stayed at a place called By the River RV Park. And I just got a haircut up here by Walmart, and I'm going to go hang out in Starbucks and mess around on the computer for a little while, and while my sleeping bag is dry.